What's up, Sevens? How are you? Hope your life is going well and you are healthy and happy. Let's continue looking at the TJ Moneymaker, Tommy Jeffs, and Hambone, Xander Hammy, Alexander Hamilton. And we're going to be looking at their views on a number of issues and how that affected the Washington presidency and, in a lot of ways, the future of our country. Today, we're going to be looking at their view on how democratic our republic should be. So, the U.S. is a democratic republic, meaning that we, the people, are the boss of our government, and the way that we carry out being the boss is we elect representatives. Hamilton and Federalists wanted our government to be more Republican before Democratic, which is funny because the other party is known as the Republican Party, Democratic Republicans. But anyway, they wanted to have more of an emphasis on the power of those representatives of the people rather than power in the hands of the people themselves. Hamilton really wanted to strengthen a lot of Republican aspects of our federal government. In fact, he was in favor of many political positions not being elected by the people. And there still are a number of very powerful political positions that you, as an American person and citizen, when you turn 18, will never get to vote for those offices. You never get to vote for Supreme Court justices, any federal judge, members of the cabinet. These people are very powerful. It used to be that you, the people, weren't allowed to vote for senators of your state, U.S. senators. They were appointed by the state legislatures, which is something Hamilton was in favor of and actually pushed for in the Constitution, that the elites, those in power, should appoint people to positions, other positions of power. Hamilton was really concerned with having the most qualified people, the most intelligent, the most capable, the best people to do the best job. Now, a lot of ways that he thought of gauging that was people's wealth and their success, because in his mind, like him, if you became wealthy, it was through hard work, brilliance, and determination. So he thought that having the best qualified people in the government will result in a government that serves its people best. Hamilton also had a lot of distrust of the average person. He felt that most people on average, the average common person, was unintelligent and selfish. And he felt that we shouldn't trust the governing of our country to people who are uneducated and act in a greedy or selfish manner. And he felt that if it was left to the people to make all the choices, the people would act in only their own self-interest and not what was in the interest of the country. They wouldn't put the country over themselves. And we can see influence of some Hamiltonian Federalist ideas in some of the ways that our government was set up. The Electoral College, which elects the president. We've had multiple presidents in our history that the popular vote was ignored, and the Electoral College, a more representative system of people who were appointed, selected a different president than what was the popular choice. The way that we used to select U.S. senators through appointment, that also comes from that idea. But also we can see, as mentioned, in the powers of the president of appointment in federal judgeships and in the executive branch. For example, cabinet positions, these all reflect those ideas that we should have the best people selecting the best people to make the best government. One of the ways that he thought that you could do that was when people are elected, when we do have elections, the only people who should be allowed to vote should be those who own property, those who have a stake financially in the government and the country doing well. Now let's counter that with the TJ. Thomas Jefferson. As mentioned, the U.S. is a democratic republic. And Jefferson wanted more democracy in our republic, meaning that he wanted to give we, the people, more of a say, more power to be the boss and control the government, and to reduce the overall power of those representatives, to increase our power to control our elected representatives. So he wanted to give the people more and more of a voice in determining what the government does, how the government serves them. And he was very much in favor of expanding voting rights and expanding the power of local and state governments. He thought that these places were more of a form of direct democracy, meaning that the government is directly run by the people, the laws and ideas that they pass that they feel suit them best. He was much more in favor of more direct democracy than leaving it to the elected representatives, especially in the central government and the federal government, who he felt would act selfishly. So he wanted to expand voting rights to all full citizens of the U.S. Note the word full citizens. Full citizens of the U.S. at this point does not include anybody who's not a white male. So, yeah, he wanted to expand it to people who didn't own property. Immigrants who became naturalized, stuff like that. But he wasn't necessarily looking to give anybody who was non-white the vote, anybody who was female the vote. But he still definitely had a more democratic view than Hamilton did. He believed, kind of as Hamilton saw the uneducated as being selfish, he thought that the wealthy, that the elite, were selfish. That in order to have power, they would use power to keep power. And that those who already have power, if you give them more, they're going to abuse it and use it to make sure that they never lose it. And so that way he felt that giving the people more of a democratic voice, the regular everyday people, was a way of limiting the power of those elites. Elites like, the people in England, the royals, the members of parliament, who often were men of nobility. He felt that those people acted so crudely and horribly towards the Americans because of the power that they had in their wealthy elite status. Whereas ways that we can see some of the more Jeffersonian ideas in the setting up of our government include the House of Representatives being having elections every 2 years, being elected directly by the people of each district, of each state, having a larger number so it's more representative of the people. Also, the constitutional amendment process, having to go through the states. If you want to change the Constitution, it's ultimately the states and the people who have to approve it, not the federal government. The federal government can propose a constitutional amendment, but the people have to propose it and that's approve it, and that's definitely more of a Jeffersonian idea. So where can we see some of the influences of their ideas and political parties of today? Because the Democratic Republican Party of Jefferson or the Federalist Party, neither one of them exist, but we still have a two-party system. So when we look, for example, to the modern Democratic Party, when we hear of people advocating for protecting voting rights, for protecting civil rights, that definitely are things that come from the more liberal ideas of Jefferson. And when we look in the Democratic Party, when we hear of talk of expanding federal programs to regulate anything from healthcare to the environment to education, those ideas of expanding the government power of unelected appointed bureaucrats, that's something that definitely can come from Hamilton. Similarly, we look at the modern Republican Party, influences of Jefferson are in opposition to expanding federal government programs and federal regulations, in limiting the power of the government and allowing states and the people to determine what's best for them. And also we can see Hamiltonian ideas in the expansion of the U.S. military and the powers of federal agencies on the fight of terrorism and funding for the military. Hamilton was very much in favor. If you're going to have a strong federal government, you need a strong military to back it up. Whereas Jefferson was very much in favor of having a small and controllable military. So, whose point of view so far do you more closely identify with? Alexander Hamilton or Thomas Jefferson? Please explain your answers in specific details. Thanks for watching. Have a great one.